Hi guys, my name is Chad Trofgruben, and this is Rigging and Animating in Adobe Animate. This course was originally released on Udemy a few years ago. However, the fundamentals still apply, and I think this can be a useful lesson. You'll learn how to take an existing design and translate that into Adobe Animate so that it's set up with symbols and layers in mind, so that you have the quickest way of applying bone-like animation. The chapters of this course will be archived weekly here on YouTube, but you can also check this course out on Udemy if you wish to see the whole course all at once and get access to the work files. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.
For this video, I'm working off of 08 Chad Animate CC. Feel free to open up this file. Like the previous video, we're going to go through and take the hand poses and convert them into a symbol that can be used to invoke different phases of the hand. On my stage, I'm going to double click on the Chad rig to go inside. And right down here, we have a hand, the front hand. And if we drop this group down, we can see the layers that make up this hand. So we're going to do what we've done before, and that is click on fist, hold in shift, click on relaxed to select them all, right click, and then choose copy layers. I'm just going to click off and insert a new layer, which I'll just name f.hand. Using Command F8, I'm going to create a new symbol, which will be named f.hand. Hit OK. Once inside the symbol, I'm just going to right click and paste my layers. And we can come in and remove layer 1. And then take point and drag it to frame 2 on layer 1, and relaxed goes to frame 3 on layer 1. And then we can remove those layers once we're done. And we can bring it back. Now, making sure you're inside of the Chad rig once again, we are on the front hand layer we just created. I can come down here and just drag and drop that hand and just bring it over so that it is overlaying the hand. And with that, we can come in and remove those original hand poses. So now we are left with this. Next, we're going to jump over to the back hand and just repeat the same process. So we can remove some of these assets or hide them so we can see what we're doing. And let's also hide the pelvis and the body. And coming down here, we're just going to select all of the backhand layers and copy them. We can make then a new layer, name it b.hand, and using Command F8 to make a new symbol, we can name this one also b.hand. We'll paste the layers. We can remove layer 1, and we can put point to frame 2 and relax to frame 3, and remove those additional layers and come back here to scene 1. Double click to go inside the rig, and on that new backhand layer, we can just drag and drop this one right over there and put it into its rightful place. Then we can get rid of these excess layers that we no longer need. And in fact, we no longer need the groups either. So I'm just going to take front hand and back hand and bring them out of those groups, and then we can remove the groups. So now if we reveal everything once again, we have something that's looking like this. And we can go through here, go to the properties, set it to single frame if we wish, and we can easily come in here and change the hand pose at any time. With the hands set up, we can move on to creating a switch for the hair. For this video, I'm working off of 09 Chad Animate CC. Feel free to open up this file. We now want to create one more symbol which will allow us to switch and that will deal with the hair. As you can see right now with the side view, we have all of the hair phases visible, which does not look good. We need to go in and modify this so that we can create a switch which will allow us to invoke which phase of the hair that we want. Let's double click on the rig to go inside, and you'll find back hair front and 3/4 on the bottom. We're just going to select them both and right click and choose to copy layers. Then let's go ahead and just create a new hair layer right away. We can call this one back hair. And using Command and F8, I can create a new symbol which will be labeled back hair. And then we can hit OK. We'll come in here and paste our layers. We can remove layer 1. And just like all of the other symbols we've been setting up, we want to come in here and drag 3/4 to frame 2, so that way we can animate this out. But there is one more thing we want to do with this. Since the side view of the head has the hair built into the head symbol, we need to add in a blank keyframe that we can switch to, so that way when we're on that side view, we can turn this symbol off. We could use keyframes for this. You could just keyframe it and then delete it for that moment, but we might as well just add in the ability to switch it to invisible. And to do that, I'm just going to come in and insert a blank keyframe on frame 3. So now we have that ability. If we come in here, we're on that back hair symbol. I want to come in here and grab the back hair, and we're just going to bring it in, and we can line it up with this one right here, and that should be good. And we can now come in and remove those other hair layers. And since we're on the side view right now, if I go to properties for this symbol, we might have to lock some layers here to click on that one appropriately. I could then come in here and go to frame 3, and you can see that the hair is gone. But the minute I decide to switch my head, so if I come in here and we switch the head to 3, you can see then at that point we need to come back here to hair and then click on that symbol, which is, let's make sure we lock our layers. Then we can click on that symbol, and then we come in and we could choose the appropriate angle for this, which I believe would be 2, and you now have your hair set. So that's in one way you can deal with assets like that in this case connect to the head but have to be behind the body. You can create 2 separate symbols to control them. For this video, I'm working off of 10 CAD Animate CC. Feel free to open up this file. We now need to go through and create symbols for the rest of the character. That way we can properly animate everything out. Using the selection tool, I can double click on this symbol to go inside the CAD rig. And I can start at the top and just work my way down. So the head is actually already a symbol. If we double click, we can go inside. You can see we have our symbols set up, and we already did that. So we're good to go there. The front bicep, or in this case, the front forearm, since it was mislabeled, needs to come next. So really quick, I'm just going to come in here and rename the layer to front forearm. That way we know what it is. And we can click once on it, hit F8, and label it front forearm. And then hit OK. So we now have that symbol inside the library. I can unlock the next layer here, which is the front bicep. So once again, these got switched around. That's okay, not a huge deal. I can just quickly relabel those. And once you have this one selected, of course, just hit F8 and F.bicep. Hit OK. Then you have the hand, which we already covered. That was set up as a symbol for us. Come down here to front foot. So unlock that. We'll just click once, hit F8, label it front foot, and hit OK. And then we have front leg top, or in this case, just f.thigh. And we can also click on that and make sure we convert it to a symbol, f.thigh, and hit OK. Front leg bottom or calf will also need to be converted over. So just front dot calf should work, and hit OK. Actually, I'll just relabel that to f.calf. There we go. Then you have your ankle. Just f.ankle. Your pelvis. And then the body. Right there. Just hit F8. Label it body. You have the back foot. Back leg, thigh in this case. So b.thigh. Make sure we create a symbol for that. And then the ankle that goes along with that leg, b.ankle. And the calf. So calf, and then change it to b.calf. There we go. We're getting close to the end here. So let me go ahead and just hide the body so I can see what I'm doing. So back bicep, that is actually labeled correctly. I'm proud of myself. So back bicep. And then you have back forearm. Back hand, which was already set up as a symbol. And then the back hair, which is also set up as a symbol. And then you have layer 1, which we actually don't need. That was just an extra layer that came with the package, so we can just come in and remove that. So now all of your main body pieces should be set up, and you can see that is true within the library. So we'll pause here, and up next, we're going to change the origin point for all of these symbols so that we can properly set things up for parenting. For this video, we are working off of 11 CHAD Animate CC. Feel free to open up this file. We now want to dive back into the CHAD rig just by double-clicking. And here, we want to set up the origin points for all the symbols so that when we rotate, these symbols rotate properly from their origin points. Let's start with the head. If we click on the head, you're going to see that the origin point is close to the ear. So if we wanted to rotate the head for him to look up, this wouldn't work because it's rotating from the wrong place. All we need to do is hit the free transform tool or Q on the keyboard. This will allow us to move the origin points. And in this case, we're going to place it close to the neck, just like that. So now if we were to rotate this, you can see it's much more natural with what's going on. Next is the forearm. We want this to bend from the elbow. So we can come in and place that origin point near the top, just like that. For your front bicep, we also want that to rotate from the top, in this case from the shoulder. So we'll place it close to that area. Your front hand also wants to rotate from the wrist. Your front foot will rotate from the top near the shoe, just like that, right before it connects with the ankle. The front thigh will be near the top. Your front calf, once again near the top. Think about where the knee would be, so right about there. Your ankle will rotate from the pants, so near the top like that. The pelvis can stay where it's at for right now. We'll just keep that in the center. The body, we can rotate from the bottom. Front foot, or back foot, I meant to say, can come from the shoe, your back thigh from the top, the back ankle from the top, back calf from the top, or in this case from the knee. Your back bicep will require you to hide the body. In this case, it'll be rotating from the top, just like that. The forearm, once again, rotating in the middle. And we have back hand. We'll need to hide our pelvis and the back thigh for that, so that we can see where to place the origin point, just like that. And then the back hair, let's come in here and wireframe the head really quick. And even though we can't really see the shapes, it'll kind of give us an idea here. We just want to come in here and set the origin point right there. So that way, if we ever want to animate out the hair, it'll look like we can make it bounce and go like that. So there you go. Let's just reveal all of our layers. And if we go through, you'll see that the origin point stays for all of the changes we just made, which is great. So we're going to pause here. And up next, we're going to use Animate CC's new parenting feature, which was introduced in the 2019 edition. For this video, I am inside of Animate CC, working off of 12 CHAD Animate CC. Feel free to open up this file. What I want to do now is dive in and set up the parenting for all of my layers. This is an awesome new feature that was introduced in the 2019 edition of Animate CC. In the past, being able to parent layers was not possible with the vanilla version. You had to go through and select all the symbols that you want to move at once, readjust your origin points, and it took forever. So here, by being able to parent your layers, the process is more streamlined. The first thing you'll want to do is double-click on the CHAD rig to go inside. And we want to focus on the timeline. At the top, you'll see we have a new symbol which allows us to see a parenting view. So let's click on that, and that changes the way the timeline looks. You can see we now have this space, and if we highlight over, we're able to see it changes color. And if we click down, it allows us to set the parent for any layer. So let's think about this one for a moment. How is a character set up? Well, arms are connected to the body, legs are connected to the pelvis, but we have some other considerations to make as well. Let's start with the pelvis. The pelvis is going to be the only layer that's not connected to anything else. We're going to use that as our center. The next logical connection to make would be with the body then. So the body will be connected to the pelvis. We can do this by clicking and then choosing pelvis from the list. And when we do this, you can see it creates this nice little hierarchy. And pelvis is labeled as first, linking over to body, showing that pelvis is indeed the main layer. If I undo this, you can also link up by clicking and dragging and setting up your links that way. So if you want pelvis to be the parent for body, drag body over to pelvis. Let's keep going now. We have this nice little line showing us what's connected. Let's see what happens as we add more connections. We know that the head is connected to the body. So let's just click on head and drag it down and attach it to the body. What about the front bicep? Well, if we click on that, that is connected to the body. So let's go ahead and drag that down to the body as well. And you can see how this is working out now. When it goes to the body, it links all the way up to these two, showing that they are next in line. What else connects to the body? Well, we know that the back bicep should. So we'll come in and drag and drop bicep over to body. And I believe that should be it. So let's move on to the next logical place, perhaps the legs. Well, the thighs are actually not connected to the body. They're connected to the pelvis. So for the front thigh, I'm just going to click, or you can drag if you wish, and then choose pelvis from the list. So you can see now that pelvis goes to thigh. And we can see that it's on the same level as body in terms of hierarchy. Let's keep going here. So back thigh will also connect to your pelvis, just like that. So now let's go to the top and just kind of go down the list and see what we need to do from here. The front forearm should connect to the front bicep. We'll click on the parent button and then choose front bicep from the list. And you can see now we're expanding this further. The front hand should be connected to the front forearm. So we'll come over here and click on that. And you can see that that currently makes sense. Bicep goes to forearm, goes to hand. So you have your front foot here. That needs to connect to your front calf. So we'll just come down and select that. And then your calf should be connected to your thigh. So come over here and just click on that. And you'll see as I change these, it just updates in real time and creates the path that we are currently looking at. Now I actually made a mistake here. The front foot will actually be connected to the front ankle. And so if you ever make a mistake, you can either click on this again to choose to remove, or you can choose to change it right here. So you have the pelvis, the thigh, the calf, the ankle, and then the foot. So let's just keep on going here. The pelvis is obviously where it needs to be. The back foot needs to be connected to the back ankle. So come down here, choose back ankle. You have your back ankle that needs to connect to the back calf. And then the back calf needs to connect to the back thigh. Then we come down here, we need our back forearm connected to the back bicep. Back hand connected to back forearm. And then the back hair is going to be connected to the head. So now with all of your connections set, you can come over here and give it a test. You need to use the free transform tool for this. And if I come down here, what I'm going to do is click once on the hand, and if you rotate it, that works as expected because it's kind of separated from everything else. It's the last item on the chain when you look at this in terms of hierarchy. But if I were to backstep and click on the forearm and then rotate this, you can see that it's rotating the hand as well. And then if I were to come in here and rotate the bicep, we also have this whole thing rotating along with it. If I come in here and I rotate the body, the head and the arms are staying with the body. You can come in here and try it out with your legs as well to make sure everything is connected. I advise that you just make sure everything is good to go. I can see that some of my origin points are a little bit off, and so that's something we can correct here soon. You can see that one's a little bit better. But when you have that sort of breakage, it's usually due to the origin point. But everything is looking pretty good. We can come in here and individually rotate things if we want, and not bad. There are some corrections we need to make just with the origin points, and we will have to fill in some areas with the gaps that are left, like with the body when it bends. But we have a good starting point here, and taking care of these errors shouldn't be a big problem. For this video, we are working off of 13 CHAD Animate CC. Feel free to open up this file. We now want to go in and make some final corrections to the rigging before we jump in and start animating. Making these corrections will help us in the long run, and it'll save on having to do a whole lot of polishing later on. We might have to do some polishing after we animate, but this should help with the process. So with the selection tool, I'm going to double click to go into the rig, and then I can zoom in to take a look at the bends with the limbs. So using Q on the keyboard, I'm going to click on the front forearm. And if I come in here and rotate, you'll see that we have a bend that doesn't quite look right. What we want to do is correct that. But also, if I come in here and bend the front leg, we still have a little bit of an issue there. The back leg, a slight issue. And the back arm might have an issue as well. We can just check it, just come in here and bend it. And it looks like it might be better than this one. We have to hide these pieces to see it, and it actually is looking pretty good. The front arm and the legs especially need to be looked at. And there's one more thing we need to do as well. I'm just going to undo these bends really quick. I plan to rotate the body slightly while we're animating. And as you can see currently, if I were to do this, we get a space that occurs between the pelvis and the body itself when we go both ways. So that's something I'm also going to want to correct. But we'll focus on the limbs first. So coming over here to the front forearm, this all has to deal with the origin point because I rounded off the limbs, and so it should work. So if you ever have an issue like this, you just have to adjust the origin point. And it's best to do it before you start placing down other keyframes. That way you only have to correct it once. So with the front forearm selected, I want to hide the bicep because it'll make this easier to look at. So now if I zoom in, you can see that the origin point is off center from these rounded edges. If you can imagine for a moment, there's like a oval right here. We simply need to take the origin point and bring it closer to the center. So probably right about here, we can try. And if it doesn't work, we can always try readjusting it after the fact. We'll zoom out here, and then I can re-enable the bicep so we can see both of them. And then using the free transform tool, once again, I can rotate. And you can see now that it's working much better compared to where it was at before. You can see when I rotate up all the way like this, that there is a little bit of breakage. So what I could do is just come back here really quick and just try adjusting it a little bit more. And then try rotating that way again. Maybe put it up a little bit more. And then try that one more time. And down a little bit. But as you can see, as I'm moving this and I'm rotating, it is changing the way it looks. So it's just a matter of getting a position that works. And as you can see, placing it in the center makes the rotation much more natural. Let me come down here to the legs and I'll do the same thing. So here we have the front calf. Hide the thigh really quick and then zoom in. And we can take the origin point and just place it down a little bit more. Again, using these rounded edges sort of as the guide. I can come in here and place it right about there. We'll try. And then bring the thigh back. And now if we rotate, it's looking a little bit better. I could possibly raise this up a little bit more. Try it again. Let's try putting it down a little bit. And that's starting to look a little bit better. Maybe down just a little bit more. And I'll put it more towards center. Try it one more time. And that's looking pretty good. Come over here to the back leg and just repeat the process. Let's just take a look. It's looking okay. We can bring it down a little bit. Come back here. Rotate. It's looking a little better. Bring it back just a little bit, and it might help to zoom in at this point. About like that. Rotate. And that's looking better. And let's just play with the back arm one more time to be sure that it's working okay. And it actually seems to be working fine. I could maybe adjust the origin point just a little bit. So I can come in here and maybe just move it up slightly. And now when I rotate, I think that's looking better. Okay. And then we have to tackle the body. So first, when we rotate the body, you'll notice that the pelvis is in front of the body. I'm going to correct that right now by simply bringing the body above the pelvis. So now we have something that looks like this, which helps. The other problem, though, is if we go too far back, and it just depends on how far back you plan to go, you'll see that the front leg is overlapping the body. So we can also bring the body above the front leg pieces. That will now help correct that issue. If I come back here, you can see we have something that looks like this now. But we still have that gap. So what we're going to do is just click once on pelvis and then create a new layer. And we'll name this one pelvis patch. And I'm going to come over here to the oval tool. With the fill color, use the eyedropper to select the color of the pants. With the stroke, make sure it's set to black. And your stroke width is set to 6. I can zoom in. And we're just going to start right about here, click and drag, and just bring this down about like this. Now I can adjust the shape of this a little bit more. So I'll grab the selection tool, double click on the pelvis, and then use Q on the keyboard to select the free transform tool, bring the origin point down to the bottom, and then just click and drag up to help fill in that gap a little bit more with the pelvis. So now I can click off, and it's looking pretty good, but we need to get rid of this line because we have the line down here that naturally goes with the pelvis. So we can grab the eraser tool, and before you start erasing, come up here to your eraser options and just change this to erase lines. So that way when we erase, we don't have to worry about getting rid of the fill. And also make sure that you lock all your layers just in case, except for the pelvis patch. And then I'm just going to come in here and start erasing that line up until we get to the point where we need it. So right about there should be fine. So now let's check the opposite direction. I'm going to just unlock these layers and then grab the body and then using Q, rotate the other way. And let me just move the arm to make sure. And that's looking okay. We might have a slight issue with the line connections right here, but all we would have to do is just come in and on that new pelvis patch layer, just erase those lines. Again, using the eraser and the line erase option for that. And we can just remove it up to about there. So that should work. Now the final thing we'll want to do with this is click on the parenting view. And then for that pelvis patch I just created, I'm going to make sure that the parent is the pelvis. So I can click on the parenting area and set it to pelvis. So that way it's attached to the pelvis, and if we move the pelvis around, then the patch will go along with it. So now we should be set up and good to go for the start of our animation here. Let me just come back here and I will use the free transform tool again. We can disable parenting view and just come back here, click on the body and rotate this back up. And then I can come in here, make sure we rotate the arm back to where it needs to be. And that's looking pretty good. So we'll pause here, and up next, we'll start animating out this character.